Where are you from, Tony?
What the fuck difference does it make where I'm from, man?
Now boarding.
Ejected 345 traffic 2 mile, final without delay, cross runway 30 left, runway 30 right, clear for takeoff.
Hello, friends. Well, I'm going to try to get you a couple more speakers here from the soccer stadium hearing up at the Statehouse. I did get a chance to finally watch all 2 hours worth of that, and that was kind of difficult. It became painfully obvious it really wasn't a hearing per se as much as it was a public relations event. You know, the grand majority of the speakers were in favor of pushing the legislation through and getting a soccer stadium, but there were a few dissenting voices. And on that note, coming up first is Miss Maggie Sullivan, who is the senior attorney for the Conservation Law Foundation, otherwise known as CLF. She spoke vehemently against the proposal. So without delay, here is now Maggie Sullivan.
Good afternoon, Chairs Feingold and Paracella, Vice Chairs Miranda and Vargas, and members of the committee. My name is Maggie Sullivan, and I am a senior attorney at the Conservation Law Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. First, I want to say that CLF appreciates the sponsors and joint committee's commitment to an open legislative process for a proposal that has significant ramifications for the Commonwealth's waterfronts and for transportation, pollution, and quality of life in Everett and the adjacent communities. This legislature has long recognized the importance of protecting traditional maritime uses from encroaching development. This is codified in a comprehensive set of rules and a robust process to ensure that designated port area changes are not done piecemeal, but through a sound planning process. This is also reflected in this bill, which includes a moratorium on DPA changes until a comprehensive review of current DPAs already initiated by the Healy administration is completed. But the rationale giving rise to the moratorium applies to this project too, and we urge the committee not to proceed with the bill in its current form. Spot zoning, carve-outs from zoning rules for a particular parcel or developer, is bad planning. And this bill presents all the hazards of spot zoning with few safeguards for affected communities. To be clear, CLF does not oppose Everett's aspirations for a soccer stadium, but the bill should not proceed without real answers in the following areas. Legislative climate and jobs mandates. The Commonwealth plans to put 30 gigawatts of offshore wind energy online and add about 29,700 clean energy jobs by 2030 as part of its clean energy transition. We need working ports to reach these goals. There are only 10 working ports in the state with the deep water access, industrial grade landside infrastructure, and access roads that Everett has. If we're going to shrink any of those 10, we need to make sure that port needs can be addressed elsewhere. Transportation. The stadium would be served by a transportation corridor from Broadway, Route 99 in Everett, through Sullivan Square to Rutherford Avenue and Charlestown. As others have mentioned, this corridor becomes a parking lot on a regular basis. Major transportation solutions would need to be developed and funded in order to support the stadium. But as proposed, there would be only a parking limitation, which would do nothing but increase gridlock and rideshare use. Further, the traffic congestion generated on game days will add air pollution to communities in Somerville, Everett, and Boston that already experience some of the worst air quality in the state. The absence of transportation solutions here is a major public health threat. Finally, while we appreciate efforts by Everett Mayor DeMaria to soften some of the stadium's impacts on Everett through a side deal with developers, the stadium will also affect Boston, Chelsea, Somerville, and East Cambridge. And all of these cities in turn have development plans that will stress the inadequate transportation infrastructure the stadium plans to rely on. All of them should be at the table in making decisions about this. The legislature should be cautious in shrinking our footprint and undermining our clean energy goals, and make sure any stadium is one that fans can actually get to and that neighboring communities embrace without regret. The proposed bill does not achieve these goals, and so CLF opposes.
Can I ask a question? So if the transportation solutions were there, would you support the bill? I'm a little confused on, because you're talking about what you'd like to see happen, but you're saying you won't support it now unless there's transportation, but you might support it if there is transportation. So I'm kind of confused on your position.
Yeah, we oppose wholeheartedly. I mean, I think we recognize the practicalities of the situation and understand that whether we oppose or not, the bill may move forward. And if it does, we think other cities have to be at the table. We think that transportation has to be addressed more realistically and fulsomely than it has been here. And I would also add, to the point of cleanup, if I'm not mistaken, the owner of the site has the legal obligation to clean it up regardless of whether the site is removed from the DPA, regardless of whether a stadium is put there. And so to my mind, it doesn't make much sense to include that as part of the calculus and whether a stadium is the highest use of the space.
So the advocates say that it will have to undergo a MEPA review. So would all of those issues that you've just raised be addressed during the MEPA review?
I don't think that the question of cities being involved would necessarily be addressed. And transportation, I mean, that is regularly addressed in MEPA filings, but, would it require that the comprehensive forward-looking type of planning that we have in mind would be included in the final project? I don't know that the MEPA review would require something that stringent.
Thank you.
Strong work, Counselor. But somehow I don't think Mayor Carlo Di Maria agrees with Ms. Sullivan. As written in a Globe article entitled "More Straight Shooting Needed on Everett Soccer Stadium" by Joan Vinoki, Globe columnist, after testifying at a statehouse hearing Tuesday on behalf of a project to build a pro soccer stadium on a parcel of land along the Mystic River in this city, Mayor Carlo Di Maria sat next to me. That's bullshit. You know, into my ear as Maggie Sullivan, senior attorney at the Conservation Law Foundation, expressed concerns about traffic, congestion, and the danger of spot zoning. And next up in the hit parade is, much to my surprise, former Councilman Al, if you won't go away, how can we miss you, Lattanzi? But he is a private citizen, so I guess he has his right to speak. I'm sure there was no encouragement for him to get up there and speak on behalf of the soccer stadium in favor. I'm sure he had no influence whatsoever on that. But without any further delay, here is the good counselor.
So,
Wait, am I on?
yep.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Al Lattanzi. I'm an Everett resident. I don't live too far away from the proposed site. And, I've always been pro-Everett. And what's happening to Everett, it's a changing community. I'm really happy about it. We need more economic development all the time. And with this soccer stadium coming in and other developments such as the tank farms and east of the casino, we have a lot going on. And there's going to be job opportunities. We're going to open up the waterfront. We're going to have a nice, creative entrance into our city. People are going to say, wow, this is great. We're going to clean up the environment. There's so many things happening. And with our demographics changing, I think that Central and South America is the multicultural city that we're in now. I have a lot of friends from all over the place, but mostly from South America, and we become friends. And at one time, many, many years ago, my children played soccer, and soccer was at the bottom of the list. There was other sports that we liked. Now, that's all changing. Soccer is big in our city, and I'm happy about that because all of the people that I know have children that they want to play soccer more than they want to play football and baseball. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's a wonderful thing for our city. Our city is changing, and I think we need something like this. And now is a great time for it, especially, and then cleaning up our environment. I mean, the casino cleaned up a lot, and now we're going to have the power plant cleaning up. I think it's a good time to jump on and get things done, and our city will be changing for the better year after year after year. And I'm pro this bill, and I hope that it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Nick Golden.
Oh, you gotta love the guy. This last guest that last speaker I'm going to include in this reel, quite honestly, it took me by surprise to see him there. It's a name from the past that I haven't heard much from or about in quite a while. Now, in his triumphant return to the State House, Stephen Stat Smith. He'll be followed in this clip by John Tocco
Chairman Paracello,
of V10 Development.
esteemed members of the committee. I'm a lifelong resident of Everett. I feel this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to clean up some polluted land and open up the waterway, and I'll be brief with those remarks. Once again, I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have someone, not the federal government, not the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, to come in here and spend the money to clean up this polluted site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. John Tocco.
Yes, and now we have John Tocco of V10 Development, another friend in the D. Maria Circle. And then Senator Sal returns for a second bite at the apple to make a few closing points.
Tocco. Virtual.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hi. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you very much for holding this hearing. My name is John Tocco, managing partner at V10 Development. Started working in Everett over 12 years ago as part of the Wind Resorts development, led our community relations effort in outreach in a number of different communities, neighboring surrounding communities. I have no doubt, understanding that process, that the community outreach that will be involved through this process after your approval will be in depth and will be significant. And I have full faith in the team that will be tasked to do it, that will be out there in the communities talking, receiving feedback. So I look forward to engaging in that process. I'm wholeheartedly in support. Currently, I'm in development, various stages of development or completion of 1,300 residential housing units in Everett. I think this would be a tremendous boost to the area, to the community, to the residents. Will provide an amazing balance coming up Broadway to clean up the old contaminated area on the right as you're coming out of Charlestown and reclaiming it and balancing it with the new and exciting entertainment zone on the left. So I commend the mayor, the legislative team, Senator DiDomenico, Representative Ryan, McGonigal. I think this is a wonderful opportunity, and I encourage you to pass this and move this bill forward. Thank you.
Okay, we're about done. I know Senator DiDomenico has one last thing he wants to bring up. I'll let him, as a courtesy, come up and present to us, and then we will be done with our presentations.
Thank you, Chief. I won't even sit down because I'll be quick. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows, especially the committee itself and the legislature as a whole, know that the engagement that we have done with the environmental groups has been robust. They were brought to the table at the initial meeting at the site, Michigan Watershed Association. We brought Boston Harbor Now to the table, and we also brought Conservation Law Foundation to the table. Each one of those groups was brought together to put their ideas and their views on the table. Some chose to, some chose not to, but they were all allowed to do that. Some got a lot of things that they wanted in a benefits agreement that they negotiated, and then others, when they didn't get what they wanted at the end, walked away from the table. So I want to implore all of you, and understand that the outreach in the environmental community was done in a very thorough way. And they all had an opportunity to express their desires, and I want to just make sure that you all know that some chose not to at the very end. And because of that, you might hear a different story about their support or not support for this project. So I just wanted to put that on the table, make that clear to everyone here, publicly, and also throughout the legislature as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this concludes our hearing. The important thing to note is that we will still accept written testimony. We want to hear from anybody who didn't have the opportunity that wanted to testify. We are absolutely still interested in hearing from anyone that would want to add input to this. So.
Now you know the rest of the story.